Hey guys, I'm BC1 again, and I just got back from Pheonix Regionals today, so I thought I would kind of give a quick tournament report and just talk about how it went. So first thing is I placed 21st out of 251 people, so I did make top 32, which is really nice. So I did play day 2, but my day 1 I was using Vrizine Genesect with no text. It was just straight consistency. It was just 4 Vrizine, 4 Genesect, 1 Mr. Mime, and 1 Jirachi. So it was just a very consistent list, and if I could do it again, I wouldn't change it at all. I would run the exact same deck again because I feel like it performed really well, and the only real reason I lost any of my games was because of just like really bad matchups, and because of bad luck basically. So the way day 1 went is I went 6 wins, 2 losses, and 1 tie. Which put me at 21st day 1, and then I ended up getting 21st on day 2 again, so it's kind of funny. But anyway, the way it went was I played against Donphan Trevenant round 1, and that was a loss, which was really scary to me because I lost round 1, so I was like, oh my gosh, if I lose again, I might not be able to make it to top cut, because I didn't realize that you could lose twice and still make top cut. So I lost to that, and I was like really freaked out. And I realized if I would have just played like 30 seconds slower, I would have been able to tie that match. But, you know, it's kind of lame anyway. I don't really like doing that. So he won. And then round 2, I went against Yveltal, Seismitoad, Garbodor, which ended up doing really well. Like, a bunch of Yveltal, Seismitoad, Garbodor decks made top 32, and a bunch of people used them and extended as well. But I beat him, I think it was 2-1. I think I just dead drew in the middle game. And then a lot of these matches I can barely remember, but I believe I was against Vrizine Genesect 3rd or 4th round. It was probably both, honestly. I remember I played against Vrizine Genesect 5 times, and I won 4 out of those 5 times because my deck is a great mirror match. But if this is the guy I'm thinking of, I beat him 2-0. He was a guy I actually was hanging out with during the tournament, or before the tournament, the night before. We were playtesting in the hotel, so it kind of sucks that I had to go against him. But yeah, he had Raichu in his deck, so those 4 spots that would have been devoted to Raichu, I just had as spots to improve my consistency. So because of that, I just had a far better matchup against him. So yeah, I beat him 2-0. Sorry about that if you're watching this. And then I don't know if that was my 3rd or 4th round, so I'm not sure what I played in the other round. It was probably just another Vrizine Genesect matchup because that deck was huge. Like, I want to say like 35 to 40% of the metagame was Vrizine Genesect, probably like 35. I wasn't predicting that high, but I was expecting there to be a lot, so that's kind of why I went with this deck. But yeah, and then I think it was round 5, I took a loss to Vrizine Genesect. That's my only loss. I was playing against this guy with this really weird list, and I still don't understand how I lost. It was really strange. I was like on top the whole game, like every time. Game 1 I just won. That wasn't a problem. And then game 2 I dead drew, and then we went to game 3, and I thought I was going to win, and then I think what happened was he ended me, and I just drew nothing, and I couldn't do anything, and then he just won. He got the Lysander at the right time, and it just won. So that was my loss. I was pretty salty about that. Yeah, I do remember what happened. He ended me, and then I just needed a Shadow Triad to win, and I missed it. And then I checked to see what the next card was, and it was the Shadow Triad. So if I just would have drew one more card, I would have had the game. So that kind of sucked. And then I honestly don't remember my 6th round, 7th round, or 8th round. It was all kind of a blur. I was running off of like 4 hours of sleep. So I kind of don't remember much. But I remember in my 9th round, I went against this guy using... Oh, well, actually, I'll talk about it. Somewhere in those 6th, 7th, or 8th round, I played against another Donphan Trevenant, and then I tied that one, which I probably would have lost if we finished our 3rd game, honestly. But anyway, and then in my 9th round, I played against Aromatisse, which was a really cool deck. This guy was using Aromatisse with Mega Heracross and Yveltal and the Kyurem X with Outrage that does 30 plus 10 more for each damage counter on it. So I thought that was a really cool deck, and I'm kind of sad that I had to like beat that guy because he was using something that was really cool. But yeah, he was my final win, and once I beat him, I realized I might actually be able to make it top cut because I saw Jason Morales was like, or not Jason Morales, what's his name? Something Morales. I forgot his first name actually, but he's the guy that made like top 16 at Worlds with Pyro. maybe it's Jason Morales. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I was talking to him. I was just like, hey, I saw you on Twitch, and he's like, yeah, if you and me win this game, we're pretty much guaranteed to make top cut. And I was like, oh my gosh. So after I played that game and won, I was pretty excited because I knew I had made top cut. And then I saw the standings and I was 21 and I was like, oh yeah. So I was pretty hyped about that. And then it was like 8 o'clock by then, so I was really tired and I kind of was just going crazy because I was really hyper because of the tournament. It got me really excited, but at the same time I was exhausted. So me and my friends went out to go get dinner, and then after that, oh, hold on, I think the recording just stopped. Oh no, it didn't. Sorry. Anyway, we went out to go get dinner, and everyone's just eating, and I'm like, what do I play for tomorrow? Because it's extended, so I didn't know what to do. And I had access to 4 tropical beaches, so I could use them if I wanted. I was thinking about going with Flygon. In the end, I decided against it because it had a bad Garbodor matchup, and Raising Genesect wasn't really a good matchup either. But that's my favorite deck. I would use that if the matchups were good, but the thing is, the matchups aren't good with that deck. So I ended up not going with that deck, and instead I just chose to go with a very consistent TDK list. It's pretty similar to the one that Calvin Neuberg, I believe is his last name, used at US Nationals and got the top 8 with. Yeah, I didn't do very good with it. It was mostly because I was just super exhausted and I didn't know what I was doing, because that night I didn't end up sleeping very much either, about 5 to 6 hours. So the combination of not sleeping enough the first day and then also not sleeping enough the next day just made me misplay, and I didn't know what I was doing because I was so tired I couldn't think straight. My opponent played a Skyla one time, and I put my hand on top of my deck, like my hand of cards on top of my deck, because I thought he played an N, and then I had a judge come over and he fixed it, and I just got a warning, so that was good. And then again later, I Lysandered and then tried to use Shauna afterwards, and I put my hand under my deck, my hand of cards under my deck, and the judge got it and put it back in my hand, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was just misplaying left and right, and I didn't know what I was doing. But basically the way I ended up is I went 2 wins, 2 losses, and 1 tie, so that basically just meant I was even again, so I just stayed at 21st place. It was fun though. I had some really good matches. The first match I went against a Scizor, Seismitoad, Garbodor, Spiritomb deck, which is really crazy. It was definitely a rogue deck, and I ended up 2-0ing him. I kind of ran hot. I hit a lot of stuff I wanted really quickly, so it was pretty good. But I also missed an energy attachment one of the games, and I stayed asleep one time, so I didn't get like crazy lucky. I got a little bit lucky though, so I beat him. And then in my second round I went against Israel Sosa. And if you know California players, you'll know he's one of the best. He ended up making top 8, and I tied against him, so I was feeling really good about that because, he's one of the best players, so I was feeling really cool about tying against him. Our first game I had 1, actually, and then in our second game, if I had an N and a Juniper in my hand, and if I played N, I would have won, and if I played Juniper, I would have lost, and then I played Juniper, and then he had the Lysander in hand, so he won. But in hindsight, I should have ended because I knew that he had a Lysander left in his deck, and I probably could have hit the energy off of the end. But my thinking was I might miss the energy, and if I miss the energy, I might lose. But I really should have just ended instead. So that was a bit of a misplay. It was really hard to say what the better play was at the time, though. So yeah, if I would have just played N, I probably would have won 2-0. But instead, we tied because we didn't finish our third game. We just got like a couple turns in. But anyway, those were really good games against Israel, and it was cool to finally meet him because he's been like one of my favorite players for a long time. Him and like Dustin Zimmerman and Jason Klosinski. But anyway, yeah, and he signed my binder. That was really cool. And then going into my third round, I lost. I played against what was it? Shoot. I can't remember actually. I'll come back. Anyway, fourth round, I went against this other guy that was also running the same 60 cards as the guy I played against first. So he's running Scizor, Seismitoad, Garbodor, and all that jazz. I lost. He beat me 2-0. Basically what happened is I flipped tails a lot, and he flipped heads a lot. And that's basically all there was to it. I wasn't drawing anything. I was just like dead drawing, and he just kept item blocking me with Seismitoad and Lysandering things up so that they couldn't retreat, because they're asleep. And I kept flipping tails. Sorry, I just recording stuff for a second. Anyway, so yeah, I just kept staying asleep, and I really couldn't do anything about it because, you know, it item locks you. That's why Seismitoad's super lame. I hate Seismitoad. But anyway, yeah, I lost basically just because of bad luck, and I couldn't do anything about that. So I wasn't feeling too bad about that loss because it wasn't in my control. And then I played against not my final round. That was probably my third round, actually. In my fourth round, I believe I went against this guy from Texas, and he was using Yveltal, Seismitoad, Garbodor as well. A lot of people were using that in top, and he beat me. No. Yeah, he did beat me. Yeah, he beat me. That deck, yeah, basically I just didn't draw what I needed, and he drew what he did. One of our games, I was just devastated because first turn, I get a really good start. I Chorus Machine to my Kyurem and attach to it, and I get a Muscle Band on it, and then I just pass because, you know, I can't attack first turn. And then he starts with a Trubbish and a Floatstone, and then he computer searches for a Juniper or a Bicycle, I believe, and then Dark Patches that energy to his Yveltal on his bench, and then attaches a DCE, and then Junipers, and then he plays some other stuff and retreats, and then Evil Balls my Kyurem on the first turn, knocks it out, and just right off the bat, I'm like, oh crap, what do I do now? And so in hindsight, I realized that against that deck, I should probably just build a Kyurem on the bench and leave something up in the active as a wall because they hit so fast and for so much damage. So yeah, I ended up losing that one. He was a good player. I was just too tired. I was making mistakes all the time, like I said. So yeah, I was feeling pretty crappy at that point. I had 1 win, 2 losses, and 1 tie. And then going into my last round, I played against this big basics deck with Cobalion, Garbodor, Mewtwo, Driftbloom, and some other weird stuff, and I ended up beating that. It wasn't necessarily a good matchup, actually, because he ran the Driftblooms, but he was dead drawing a little bit, and I just kind of came out on top. It was a close matchup, though. It was really, really close. But anyway, yeah, so that's how day 2 went. Overall, it was really fun. I ended up winning 24 packs, which was really nice, because I got to sell those and then pay for the gas money that got me there, so that was kind of nice. But yeah, it was a really fun tournament. Met some cool people. Met this guy that watched my YouTube videos too, which I thought was awesome. So yeah, I had a lot of fun. And then Pyroar ended up winning the whole thing. I watched top 8, and Pyroar ended up winning. This girl, Christy Brooks, I want to say is her name, ended up winning. She was using Speed Lugia day 1, which I thought was really cool, and then ended up using Pyroar, which is like the exact opposite of Pyroar. On day 2. No, the exact opposite of Lugia day 2. Anyway, I'm still tired. I still haven't gotten much sleep. But anyway, that's how it went. In hindsight, I think I would have used, like, day 2, I would have used a couple of different things. I might have gone with Yveltal, Raichu, Garbodor, or just Yveltal Raichu with a thick Raichu line. I might have done that because that would have beaten all those Raichu Yveltal decks. I also might have gone with Eels Mewtwo because that made top 8, and I really like that deck. I think it's really cool. And then, yeah, those are the big decks that I was thinking maybe I should have used those instead. I think TDK was not the best option in hindsight. I just was exhausted and I didn't know what to use, so I kind of went with that because it's kind of just a consistent deck that I could fall back on, and I felt like people were going to tech against Rizine Genesect. That's why I didn't want to run that. And yeah, all the Rizine Genesect got beat, so I'm happy I didn't use that too. So yeah, oh, I could have used Rizine Genesect Raichu, actually. That might have been a good call. But anyway, so that's my tournament report. It was very fun. I'll do a deck list for the deck I used on day 1 in a couple of days, I guess. So stay tuned for that. And like the video if you like my video. Subscribe for more, and comment if you want to tell me something. Thanks for watching.